Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of Raven's Journey. Today I found myself travelling back 2,000 years. Well, not quite literally, but I ended up in the town of Silchester. It was once a Roman town, and unlike most major Roman towns in southern Britain, it didn't re-emerge as a town in the medieval period. So what that meant is that a lot of what was about then is kind of still found today, including the walls and an amphitheatre. Quite an interesting place to consider visiting. So if you're interested in visiting and want to find out more about this interesting little town that goes back so far, then stick around with me, musician on a motorbike. Okay, I've just managed to offload myself from the bike. It's all securely tied up. So yes, now I'm in the gorgeous, historic Roman city in Silchester. Absolutely stunning. I just wanted to show you around because there's some lovely places to visit if we know where to look. And this is one such place. I mean, even just the car park, just a quick look around here, you can see it's just needs a bit of cleaning. But the idea, look at the pond just in front of me. Just stunning. You hear those birds singing? You just sit on that bench and just breathe. Just love it. So let's have a little wander around and see what we've got here, because there are a few surprises in store. We've got the Roman wall. There's a Colosseum. Yes, you don't need to go to Rome to see a Colosseum. And a beautiful church. I mean, for most of us, the church would be old enough, but that's a rather modern building in comparison to the wall that surrounds it. Right, I'm going to have a little wander and see if we can find anything interesting. Let's carry on. You know, I think I might have a look inside the church, if it's open. It is rather beautiful today. I hope they don't mind. Normally churches are open for prayer, so they're often encouraging people to go in for times of prayer. Ooh, the door looks like it's open. Let's have a look. I do love to visit churches. They're just places of peace, centuries of prayer, times of quiet, and in a world that just seems to be moving ever so fast. There's just so much peace to be felt. Just gorgeous. Just for those who are interested, you see we've got the font just behind me, just by the door. This often marks the entry into the church, which is why you nearly always find the font at the door of a church. Not always, there are some exceptions, but typically it's the kind of the start of your journey. And then of course as you get married kneeling at the altar, or just in front at the end of the nave. And then of course, if anybody's ever been to a funeral, you'll often find that the coffin will be right closer to the altar. So you kind of start at the door, you spend your life in the pews, you get married, kneeling at the front, and then you leave the world right by the altar. I think the term that's often described is hatch, match and dispatch. But this particular church is just stunning. It's beautiful in its architecture. The windows, the lights. Stained glass windows are actually a relatively modern addition to churches. I say modern, Victorian times, because they liked colour. More often than not, if you go back to the sort of the earlier 1800s, 1700s, 1600s, if you could afford glass, you'd find that it was often very plain, like the windows here. It seems to be quite a nice eclectic mix of history just in this beautiful building. I don't want to spend too much more time talking. I feel irreverent doing so. But the one last thing I would do is that if ever you do visit a church, maybe you come here, do please consider a donation. It's obviously here to help worshippers. They welcome visitors, and of all faiths and none, it's just nice to help because we're enjoying the building. One thing that if you do donate, often churches have little envelopes, and if you're a taxpayer, they can claim the tax back. Right, let's get going. So beautiful, beautiful church of St Mary's. Absolutely stunning. Oh my goodness, this looks gorgeous as well, just looking at this in front of me. Let me just turn you around so you get to see the stunning view. Just lovely. I think what we'll do is we'll head down that path. I think that leads to the Colosseum and see what we find. Okay. So as a kind of a subject, theology kind of fascinates me. That's why I know a little bit about churches. And did you know how it all started? Of course, we all know. Well, you might be surprised that history is never quite the truth. It's often the account of the successor, or how people want you to believe it. Obviously, the story of Jesus and the crucifixion and the resurrection are quite widely known now. Don't worry, this isn't a religious conversion video. This is a... sorry, I felt someone behind me then. This is just an academic look at the Christianity. Now, what actually happened? It was in about 300, the 4th century, that Constantine had the Battle of Malvian Bridge, and he said, if I win this battle, I will convert the Roman Empire to Christendom. But how did he get into it? Well, it was actually his mother who had been a fan of Christianity, and at the time people of faith, of Christian faith, were being persecuted quite widely. It was quite a shame really, because you know, there'd been a period, quite a long period, of what we call coexistence. So people of the Jewish faith, Gentiles as they were known, who were non-Jewish, had been kind of following this particular sect. There were many sects at the time, but yeah, it wasn't until that Malvian Bridge battle, and when he won it, because of his mother Helena, he actually then said, right, that's it. We are now going to allow Christian to be a legal faith. And as a result, lots of people converted. And Christianity is a lot about forgiveness. But he was a little cunning, Constantine, because you see, he carried on with his own faith, not actually converting to Christianity until literally at the end of his life. I can't remember, I think he lived in his 60s. I know, something around his 60s I think he lived. And I think his conversion happened at the end of his life because he wanted his soul to be pure when he went to heaven. So you see, we've got the mix here of a nice old church, bit of history of Christianity, And we're about to visit a little bit of the old Roman Empire when it actually came into the UK. And if it wasn't for the Romans, what did the Romans ever do for us? I think that Monty Python said, well, quite a bit as it turned out, including Christianity. So let's go onwards and see if we can find that, that ground for entertainment. Well, here I am, here we are. I've managed to find some of that wall. It's fascinating, it really is. When you're a kid, 2,000 years just doesn't seem that long ago. But here we are, a 2,000-year-old Roman wall. Amazing. When you think that the Romans effectively changed our society for the better in many ways, I'm not sure that the people living in this country, I say this country, it wasn't England then, whatever it was, would agree, because obviously they were an invading force. In fact, we've been a land of immigration ever since. There was the Romans, then we had the Vikings, then we even had the French. You know, we talk about a Battle of Hastings in 1066 from Normandy. It's been quite a tumultuous couple of millennium. But yeah, here we are, a wall that was actually built 2,000 years ago, and it's still here today. Blimey, can you imagine our roads still being here today? I mean, in the UK at the moment, we've got potholes the size of villages, and they're not being repaired at a great rate. But this is just kind of quite remarkable.
The Roman presence is very evident in the second half of the 1st century. The town developed further in the 2nd century, and it was the 3rd century that the massive stone wall we've just looked at was built that encircles the Roman town.
Ah yes, I've been calling it all sorts of things, but it's the Amphitheatre. So let's find it. I think it's just over there, beyond that pile there. Right, yes, I've called it a Colosseum. I think it titled it an Amphitheatre back there. Wow, and I can see it now in front of me. The Roman Amphitheatre, here in little Silchester in Hampshire. Who would have believed it? The Amphitheatre was a place of entertainment for the people of Calleva, Atrebatum, and could accommodate between 3,500 and 7,250 spectators. Gosh, can you imagine that number of people in this area? It was built on the eastern edge of the town between AD 55 and 75. Earth was excavated to create a circular arena which was enclosed by a wooden wall. The soil was reused to form circular banks and terraces. Amphitheatres were typically used for gladiatorial combats, wild beast fights and public executions. Horse bones recovered here suggest that equestrian events took place. In the 3rd century, the arena wall was rebuilt in stone, and the creation of 2 new entrances changed the plan of the arena into a typical elliptical shape. The 2 recesses might have provided refuge for combatants, or they may have housed shrines. Beautiful, isn't it? Just hearing those birds sing. Stunning. And you haven't had to pay all this history, all this richness. I remember reading online somewhere that because, we don't know why, it was never rebuilt on, it was kind of abandoned and pretty much left. This is quite a historical place for excavations which take place sometimes. Right, let's go and have a wander down to the theatre. Just absolutely stunning. I mean, those birds sound beautiful and the trees look gorgeous. But just to think what was happening here nearly 2,000 years ago. It really is quite remarkable. And here I am in the middle. Some ruler giving the command to end life, save life. People literally fighting for their lives. We talk about stress and difficulties and struggles today. I think it was on a particularly incredible scale back then. Stunning. Lovely shade here as well. It's a lovely warm day today. according to my watch, it's 17 degrees at the moment, and it's currently 20 past 10 in the morning, so I think we're in for a warm one today. There we are, that's the view from the other side. Quite spectacular. Beautiful. Right, a bit of a climb in front of me. If the sun doesn't warm me up, the walk will. It'd be nice to get back on the bike and just enjoy a bit of cool air. Right, I think we might have ourselves some good seats for the entertainment today. Let the gladiatorial battle commence. Hail Caesar. Now we'll let him off. So if you want to visit, I'll put a link to the website in the description. Whether you're in Hampshire, Berkshire, Oxfordshire, where else, Surrey, in fact it doesn't matter where you are, if you fancy a bit of a ride out, it's just a nice place, a nice destination to visit for peace. So if you do visit, let me know how you get on, let me know what you think. Right, let's head back to the bike. Okay, let's go. So there we are, we're all packed up and just about ready to get on the road. Right, let's hit the road.
I hope you enjoyed today's video. It was less musician on a motorbike and more historian off a motorbike, but history is another one of my favourite topics, so expect a little more as I discover new places to visit. If you've got somewhere to suggest, I'd love to hear where you think is worth visiting. Do please mention it in the comments. And if you've got a link to any websites, because I am fascinated by all sorts of history. The location, some of you may have noticed, is the place that I arrived at when I was making my last video, the mental health one. The plan was to actually do one video. My original plan in my little head was that I was going to do a bit of a talk about mental health, I was going to do a little bit of history, and then I was going to do the reflections, and I even have another accessory that I was adding to the bike that I just wanted to talk about, but it was like a 90-minute video, and I thought, uh-oh, I need to split this up, hence the location might seem familiar. Anyway, it was great fun making this. I always enjoy putting together something. The video of the whole process of making a video, the filming, the editing, the riding especially, it's most enjoyable. It doesn't get as many views as the bikes and accessories, as I've said before, but I'm kind of enjoying this just freedom to just go around and do what I like and put videos together. So I hope that some of you at least are joining me and enjoying the journey that I'm going on. In a future video I will talk a little bit about what I mean by Raven's journey, because there is a bit more meaning behind this than I've actually given any mention to. In fact, that's the first time I think I've mentioned it. You might have just seen it on the channel logo. Anyway, more to come, more ideas that I have, but I'm also looking for more. So if you have any, I'm always open to suggestions. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. If you have time and like to like and subscribe, then that would be wonderful, but more importantly, I hope at least you've enjoyed a little of what I've shared with you today. Anyway, take care, ride safe, and look forward to catching up with you very soon. Bye for now.